welcome to another drive-in double feature. I'm Ryan,
I'm Nathan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. Before we get into anything, y'all, we have a Patreon over at patreon.com/drive-in double feature podcast. Nathan, I was at my local impound lot, picking up my car after it got towed.
Oh, hate
And
that.
I'm just waiting in line, just like tapping my foot. I'm getting a little annoyed, but the person
hmm
up front really doesn't care. Um, but the person at the window, like the customer is at the window, they're just like, it's like, you guys suck. You guys don't give us any value. You guys should be like Ryan and Nathan over at Drive-In Double Feature Podcast on Patreon. They give me all kinds of fun flick fights, some conversations, just some fun anecdotes that I would much rather pay them money than to give you money for basically stealing my car. So I hope you guys know that. And then like on his way out, and it's like he just yells out, and I hope Ryan and Nathan know how much I love them. And I said, I think they know.
And he was really livid, so he said, "Shut the hell up! Don't
Yeah,
talk to
for
me."
yeah, exactly. That's how it went. But yeah, it's only
Yes.
$5 a month. Doesn't affect any regular content. But
hmm
today we are talking about 1978's Towing, and that is directed by Mara Smith. And this movie, I don't. This movie is a very interesting movie. I don't know, like how. So, okay, the basic plot of this movie is that there's this impound lot. It's a very sleazy impound lot that are just basically just towing random vehicles and basically kidnapping these people's cars for ransom and just
hmm
saying, like, you got to give us $60 or we're keeping your car. And
Yep.
they end up towing these two girls' cars, and they are very much livid about it, thinking like, how can we do this right? And you think that'd be like kind of like a fun comedic movie type of thing. Like on paper, that seems like a really like funny idea.
Yeah.
Looks like a but and I want to say too, like the vibe of this movie with like the music and like some of like the shots in it are actually like kind of interesting. Like I do like
Yeah.
the theme of it a little bit. I just think it was executed so poorly.
Yeah. This movie is pretty awful. Like it's like so poorly put together. Yeah, no, I agree. There's like elements of something good there. I feel like a tow truck movie doesn't sound bad. The music's pretty good. Like they got some
Yeah.
tracks. I mean, they have a towing theme song that's it
Towing, towing.
yeah, it's so silly, but like I kind of liked it because like it's like these two girls are gonna go down, and like it's almost just telling you the plot of the movie, which I think is always so funny. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, God, I knew from the first scene I didn't know what I was going to get out of this movie. I was so confused because it opens with this giant group of people at the tow truck company, and they're just complaining or just saying the most random stuff, and it's just a guy saying $60, $60
Cash.
cash. Yeah, exactly. And it's like everybody's complaining, like and I guess I didn't realize this would be the setup for the movie. I thought it was just like, oh, this is us getting to know the tow truck company, this is all the people they've upset.
Well, yeah, like I thought it was going to be something like that, like it was going to be like these girls, like it was going to be like kind of like a fun comedy of like running a towing company or something. That's
Yeah,
what I thought it was going to
from the
be.
poster, it has like two women on one side of a tow truck with a guy on it. I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, it's gonna be about like two women that whoa, they own a tow truck company now. Uh, but
Yeah.
but it ends up being like a battle against a tow truck company because there's two women in there that are just like using every trick in the book, like try and be like, oh, we can meet up later, or like just like I really need this car, but they just absolutely refuse to help them out.
Yeah. So the main plot is this towing company is owned by this guy named Butch.
hmm
And when he does, like, because he does show up and like the girls are like, "Oh, we really want our car back," and you think he's like a customer at first because
Hmm.
he's like, "Oh, darling, you want me to get your car back?" And she's just like, "No, get away from me, you creep," type of thing. But then he jumps behind the counter,
Yes,
showing
yeah.
that like he owns the place, and basically tells those girls to take a hike. And what it is they uh they had parked their car in like a drugstore parking lot, but they went over to like a cafe instead, and they were just like, well, I those and they complained to like the drugstore owner, and he's like, well, you weren't my customer, so I don't care.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then I guess, that's a weird one because it becomes a robbery at that point because they have like a friend who's like a guy and he's robbing in the back while she's up front at like the drink counter, yeah, being seductive to the pharmacist so he can steal the money out of the register. But they don't use that money to get the car back, right? They refuse to
No,
do
they
that.
don't.
Yeah, so like
No, they don't want
what
to
was
get
the point?
they don't want to give the tow truck company any money, and
Yeah.
it's it's very like the two girls too. Like their name are Jean and Lynn,
Mhm.
and Lynn is the blonde one, and she's kind of like, I can't. I've never found a man worth anything, and I don't, like I'd never have found anybody worth, falling in love with. But then she ends up going to a bar. Well, at first no, yeah, she goes to the bar and she runs into Joe Montana,
Which
who's
is
like,
like such a weird like star to pop up in this movie.
yeah, like a guy like I've seen like forever, like when I was a kid, like
Yes, yeah.
when he was like
Fat
in Baby's
Tony.
Day, Baby's Day Out.
Yeah, baby, stay out his biggest role.
Mm. In my opinion, yeah.
Uh,
Uh, but she's kind of like just hitting on him, and she's just like, "Are you married?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "Are you?" She's like, "No." And then like she asks like the other patrons if he's gay, and she's like, "Is he gay?" Or he didn't say that. She says
yeah,
the
yeah.
slur, and they're like, "No, no, no, he's
No,
good." And then
because he says his favorite color is mauve.
no, that's right.
Yes.
And anyway, they end up hooking up, and he ends up being like a demolitions expert or something. Like he's like he ends up helping these women out, like because their main objective is they want to steal a tow truck
Mhm.
and use it for their own needs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they want to get back at him by using the tow truck by like basically towing their cars. And that's not it. Well, that takes like a whole scene where they get Joan Montana and he's like, "Yeah, I can tow a car. It's easy." And then he messes up in a weird subplot where the boss of the towing company is in a bowling competition. So like they're towing his truck while inside he's like in this weird bowling scene against this other guy where he's like where the is like the guy that he's facing off against is like kissing at his girl and everything. It's so weird. Did that had nothing to do with the plot, right? That was just like a weird side thing.
They were just showing you what he was doing while they were
Yes.
towing his car. And
Why couldn't it just been
like
he was bowling?
I don't know, like that's like there's so much unnecessary padding for this movie. And it's not a very long movie. It's only like an
It's an
hour and
hour.
20 minutes,
Yeah, I think it not even. It's like an hour 15. Like it's barely a movie.
but it doesn't feel like it. It feels longer.
Yeah, it's a chore to get through, that's for sure. Because there's a lot of downtime. There's so much nothing in this movie. Like, God, there's a scene where the main girl, Lynn, is just like sad, and it's just a long shot of her sitting on the couch staring off and just being sad. And it's like we don't this isn't an art film. I'm not here to like see a long take like this. This is so unnecessary.
Yeah, just like imagine like in the movie like Police Academy, like to just have like a scene of like Steve Gutenberg just sitting there like crying for like
for
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah. I don't think we get all the Police Academy sequels that we have today. But where is my towing sequel? Um, without that scene, we could have had it.
Oh, they'd call it twoing.
Too. Oh, see, you're probably more creative than the people who made this. Even though I will say, I guess the one piece of trivia that I've seen about this movie is that Joe Mantegna said that David Mamet wrote some of this movie. Um, but like,
But
I
they didn't
guess
use it.
exactly, they didn't use it, which it probably would have been a better movie if he wrote some
Yeah,
of it.
David Mamet. Yeah, are you kidding me? Like one of like the greatest playwrights ever.
Yeah, but I'm sure his version was probably like way better. We should also say Lynn is played by Sue Lyon, who is a Golden Globe winner for playing Lolita in Stanley Kubrick's Lolita, which
Wow.
looking at her, you would not know that's the same person.
I was I didn't even realize that was the same girl.
Yep, yeah, which how a star has fallen to go from a Kubrick great and then you're in towing of all movies.
I was just trying. She won a Golden Globe for that. Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Sorry, I was just wanting to see.
Just to make sure I
Was it
wasn't lying.
No, no. I just wanted. Oh, I no. I wanted to see. Yeah, it was another promising newcomer winner.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's so funny.
Too. That's what I wanted to see if it was another one of those.
That's this
So
week's double feature.
that's the double feature theme this week is promising female newcomers.
Yeah, in weird movies. Even though
So
I guess yeah. Um, how come that's not a I wonder when they took away that award.
I don't know. I know like this is a rant, but I know like that one girl, um, he is Adora, like basically
Mhm.
like her husband or guy like she was seeing like basically like paid off like the Golden Globe
That's
committee to like
right.
to win that award, I think. So I think that was kind of like one of those where they took it away because they're just like that was a really big controversial moment. Plus it's just stupid. Like why would you don't need to give somebody a promising newcomer award. It'd be like almost
Exactly.
like having a box office award. Oh wait.
Oh, whoops. Yeah, I mean, the same thing happens at the Grammys. They have like best new artist, and it'll be people that have been putting out music for years. That's the way it would be now. They would give that award to somebody who's been accomplished and made like 3 hits the past few years, and then, oh yeah, Jennifer Lawrence, and it's like 2018, best new coming star or some upcoming star.
Yeah, like after she's already won Best Actress.
Yeah, exactly. It
Uh,
would it would be a little silly, I feel like. Um,
but yeah, but I don't
yeah.
know, like going back to the movie, it's very much like I don't really know what they were trying to go for here. It's a very confusing tone because it's like
Mm,
it's not a zany comedy or anything like that. It's more
yeah.
of like kind of like I mean like a very like a hangout type of movie. I don't
Yeah,
know. It's like
it's very 70s. Super chill, kind of laid back movie sometimes, but it doesn't really hit that very well. It's not as good as other 70s hangout movies. Um,
no, and I don't. I just I'm not. I did not like the characters. They were very boring. Like they would just have like dialogue where they would just be like they're like, oh, like a girl would be like sipping a Coke bottle and she's like, oh, do you want to sip this? Like, oh, but you know I don't even drink that stuff. And it's just okay, like
yeah, just absolute like mundane stuff for an hour 16 movie. It's if this movie were made 10 years later, this would have been just an easy watch for us. It would have just been an 80s sex comedy. It would have just been about a tow truck company and it would have been a sex comedy and it probably would have been more entertaining than whatever this is.
yeah, if they made something like, a hamburger, but it was like the towing version of that, that would have been kind of interesting.
It sounds right. It sounds like something that would be like weirdly a
Oh,
part of history.
I mean, maybe that's the thing. Maybe that just they're like the sex comedy movie really wasn't a thing because I remember like there's pretty much like almost every occupation there was like a sex comedy version of that. It was
Yes,
like
yeah.
there was like a flight attendant one I remember. There was like a
Mhm.
doctor's one. There's like gym workers. There's all kinds of different like professions. Or there's a firehouse one. There's a police one. So it's just
Even a fast food one.
yeah, fast food one, skiing one, sport.
Anything.
So that's it's just not a very interesting movie. But like the main what they do to finally get at Butch is they end up towing like the governor, I think the governor's daughter's car or something. And
Something like that. Not too
it
sure.
it it's a very prominent figure, and it's like their daughter's car, and they put it in the impound lot because they've stolen the tow truck. Because there's like another weird scene too where it's like Gene, like the brunette's boyfriend, like gets like brutally beaten up at one point.
That's right. That came out of nowhere. I actually rewound, like, I went back just to like try to like get it, but no, I mean, he just gets the crap beat out of him, and he's like bandaged for the rest of the movie.
And yeah, they must have saw Chinatown. They're just like, oh yeah, that's awesome.
I love the nose. I do that. Yeah, I mean, there's like other stuff like that too. And one thing I thought was funny is like earlier in the movie, you see them take down all the no towing signs, and that actually, or sorry, no parking signs, and that actually pays off way later than you'd expect. Usually be like a montage in the next scene that would come into play, but you like it's way later in the movie. A guy parks, gets towed, and he's like, "There's no sign here," and okay, I'm giving this movie some type of prop, but whatever, it works.
No, but yeah, anyway, like they make like a big deal to like outrun or like to run away from Butch because I guess Butch, has like mob connections or whatever.
Of
And
course.
so they're like, we're gonna go run down to Mexico. And it's like in a throwaway line, like another guy just shows up and he's just like, can you take us to Mexico? And he's just like, sure, Mexico, why? It's like we need to get the heck out of here type of thing.
Hmm.
And and then eventually like Butch does uh get his impound lot shut down because like the governor or whatever was basically just like, you're not going to take my daughter's car,
Hmm.
and basically threatening. And then he finds out those girls are going to Mexico, and he's just like, Mexico isn't far enough, I'll find you.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
that's kind of where it ends.
Yeah, I was okay because I was trying to think, does that go anywhere? No, they must have really wanted a two wing. Yeah,
Two-wing,
yeah, but
two-wing,
I,
two-wing.
see, I like that. Yeah, no, and it just wasn't really enthralling like any of that. It just like you said, like you gave that, and that's like sounds like a plot, but it just really just it doesn't go anywhere because like Blitch is chasing after them, and then there's plenty of scenes of Lynn just like, oh, do you think the lawyer loves me, Joe Montana? Do you think he's in love with me? And do you think we'll be together? And it's a lot of that, which their romance isn't really interesting. I mean, Joe Montaigne is probably the best part of this movie because at least he has like a personality, something to bring to the movie. I think Butch also is kind of interesting, just not used enough. Somehow they've managed to not use anything interesting.
And I was what I need to do. Hold on, I want to see one thing real quick. So I need to see, and I want to see how much money it was like back then for like
Hmm.
$60. Because every time they like go there and they're like, I need $60 cash, and everyone's like, I don't got $60.
I mean, yeah,
So I wanted to
60
see,
bucks then was probably a ton of money. I mean, hell, I'd be pissed if I had to pay it.
that would have been the equivalent today of $330.
Okay, that's messed up. That's horrible.
Which I do know, like, because I do know, like, because I worked for a company one time and we did have our truck towed, and it was like we had to pay like $400 cash or whatever to get it out.
Yeah, just for them to store it on their lot. It is
Yeah.
horrible. I've never had my car towed except for whenever I was in a wreck, not like a parking infraction tow, which I know if I was in that situation, I'm sure I'd be pissed off.
Well, yeah, I've had my car towed when it broke down, but yeah,
Hmm.
but never like without my consent.
Yeah,
So,
it's
but yeah, like I was kind of expecting a lot more from the movie. Like I said, the only props I can give it is like I do like the 70s vibe of it and I do like the music of it, but
mhm.
as far as a movie, it's not very good. It's pretty bad actually. And
Yeah.
I would not give this movie a recommend at all. I would say definitely avoid it.
No, I totally agree. There just really isn't much to even say about this movie. It just doesn't do anything interesting, and like you said, it ended up just being just a bad movie. Like I think I said this on Letterboxd, and I'll repeat it here that it's crazy that this is what Tubi does. Tubi literally like digs the graves of like these movies that should be forgotten. Like nobody ever needs to really watch Towing, but they just want this endless catalog of movies. So whatever, we'll dig up Towing and put it on here, and then we're forced to watch it because I put it on my watch list because Dennis Franz is in it, and he's barely in it. Like I think I didn't really recognize who he was at first.
I don't. Now that you say that, I completely forgot he was even in it.
He's like driving at one point during the movie. It's really a nothing role.
Well, we're gonna eventually get all of Dennis Franz's movies, and
Oh God. Well, and one day we'll have to watch Hill Street Blues, just the show.
yeah, that'd be
Um,
fun.
yeah, no, that would be fun. But not a recommend. Don't watch Towing. Dear God, do not waste your time.
It's not worth it. Um, yeah, that's gonna do it. I do want to make one bit of an announcement for next week is
Mhm.
that we are going to be taking a week off because just pulling back the curtain a little bit is we are recording these episodes during the holidays and we are going to take a 1 week holiday break. But that doesn't mean we're not going to be giving you guys any content. In fact, it's actually going to be content that hasn't been on this channel before.
Mhm.
So Nathan, why don't you tell them what we're going to be doing?
Well, we're actually going to go back because we talk about it sometimes on the show, but we used to record podcasts before we did Drive and Double Feature. It was the lead up to this. And those episodes, I don't think they're really hard to find now. I will say that. So we're going to re-release that for you, and we're going to actually go back and show you some old episodes, pre-Drive and Double Feature stuff. And we're going to actually show you two episodes next week. We're going to do Dress to Kill, and we're also going to do Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. So that'll be fun. Look back in our old awkward days.
Yeah, like we're not awkward at all right now.
No, never, never. But even more awkward than we are right now.
Can't wait. Can't wait to relive
Yes.
those memories. But if you have any thoughts and opinions about this podcast, please email us over at Drive and Double Feature Podcast at gmail.com. And once again, don't forget to follow the Patreon at patreon.com/Drive and Double Feature Podcast. But until next time.
Until next time.